due to the
Sorry, I forgot to record today. Apologies. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. So I think it's because we believe or we have come to a understanding that, this whole aspect of clarity, this whole aspect of certainty is a destination that we will reach, and then our life is going to be sorted. I say this from a personal belief, personal experience, that is what I thought. Okay, after a job, after a degree, after a job, my life will be settled. And then it keeps unfolding in very different layers. And then when I kept exploring so many domains, I thought I was beating myself up because I thought I'm not clear, and I'm not kind of settling with one thing. But the moment I looked at self-directed learning and how it's about an exploration of yourself, of how you want to, see your life unfolding, it changed my perspective towards life and learning and living. So I feel this whole aspect, the fear is because we think that we are going to reach this destination of clarity someday, and then life is going to be all perfect.
Just adding on to what Kritika was saying, and just taking a small reference from what Peter Gray was also talking about, that children, we segregate life ki, okay, now I'm studying and later I'll get settled and later I'll get into my job and all of that, so that way I'll get settled or something like that. We segregate life like that, but children don't do that. He has taken so many examples, shown so many examples wherein they really don't do that. They start living from very beginning of their lives.
Can I add something?
Yeah. See, please, this is a very
Okay.
informal. Just one moment, Namrata.
Yeah.
Pradeep is also raising hand. Ruji is also. Please, guys, don't raise hand and please don't ask it. Can I jump in, man? What is there? Nobody can at least hit you. Go ahead.
Okay, so when we ask a question like future security, I think there is a brutal truth which is underlying that security is how much money my child is going to earn. Security is equal to how much money my child will earn when he will be of an age 25 or whatever. So earning money comes from, again, I think not from a degree, but again from a passion. And what I think, when we are raising our children as a homeschooler or as an open learner, if we let them be, I think that passion would automatically come up at some point in time. That is what I think. If you can correct me if I'm wrong somewhere. So if we allow them to be who they are and just keep on observing what their passions are, I think at one point, like we discussed in last few meetings, explore expertise and enterprise, right? So I think that will automatically get converted into those areas. Am I right?
Yeah. I was also agree. I mean, I was also going to say something in those lines where most of the fear comes from about how much the kids are going to earn, because this looks like a non-traditional thing. And but as long as they're independent and earning, I think that fear should go away. As long as they're entrepreneurial and they're trying to, I think the unschooling helps in the sense that it will be, if it does this thing. Even I'm very new to this whole concept, so I also have been in the previous calls stressing the fact that the kids have to be independent and entrepreneurial and self sufficient and earning on their own. If it does that, I think that should address most of the fears.
So I wanted to add here. So I think this fear of financial independence lies at the basic anxiety of taking your child towards unschooling, or you yourself trying to unschool yourself, your journey. So this is the fundamental. If we had enough data, and let's say if we were talking about the same thing 50 years in future, and if we would have had enough data where a generation of kids have unschooled them and have established themselves and were like, responsible, happy citizens, then this question wouldn't have come. So this is one of the most basic fear, and that fear, when somebody asks me this question, my initial reaction is to always say that nay, they will find a path and they will settle down somehow. But when I am talking to so many parents now, I think this is at the core, and that fear is not going to go away by the way I would answer or by the way of listening to stories, and that is there, right? So I don't have the answer to this question, but it is yet to come. We have to only figure this out. We have to take that risk.
Here.
Yes.
Rajita, if you don't mind, I would want you to pause here, because one of the things that we always feel is that when we don't know the answer, it's better to ask questions. So I will confess that I don't have the answer either, but I would like to ask a few questions.
Yes.
One is that, is it really the child's future that we are afraid of? Or is it our fear of financial security? That is something that we all need to ask, because are we really concerned about, I don't know my future in 5 years from now, even 2 years from now. So am I really worried about my child's future, which is probably 20 years from now? Or am I really worried about my own future in 20 years? Right? So this is something that I would like folks to reflect on, one. And two, when we are thinking of financial security, right? If I go and ask, what is that guy's name? Mukesh Ambani, right? Does he feel secure enough that he will stop working today? Right? That's what we are saying, right? Work so that you can earn money, earn enough, and then you are secure. He will say, no, I'm not. He has said it in many interviews that I'm always hungry for more and I want to do more, right? So even somebody with, I don't know, enough money that his 3 generations will spend just counting the money, doesn't feel financially secure. So where do we draw our line saying that this will give me financial security? And I'll be frank about myself. I said, look, if I'm able to feed myself and 2 people around me, I'm financially secure. And that to feed as in cook and feed, not earn the money to feed. Right? So what I'm trying to say here is that we all have to consciously question this paradigm that has been laid down, saying, kuch bhi ho, financial security rehna chahiye. Sure, I agree. Go and ask a person who's living on the street, and you can see that. You just spend some time observing children playing on the street, laborers' children. And, they will have various answers. You can see that they'll play, they will, eat something, they'll sleep. Are they insecure or are we insecure? So what I'm trying to say here is that we typically tend to externalize these things where the questions are actually inside us. So please ask those questions. I don't have the answers. Like I said, I would like to pose more questions.
Yeah, maybe Archana should answer the person who raised the question. She's saying it's not related to financial security. So if you have audio, you might want to talk and express your fear and elaborate more, as Namrata was asking.
Can I just take the question a little differently? And maybe if we can ask another question on the similar lines of what here she is saying, we are all talking about financial security. How about, kind of mental security as such, or emotional security, or other way around? Let me put a question in this manner. Let's suppose that tomorrow, like, we conduct one experiment in which we have, let's say, 1,000 people, and we tell them that we will give you $1 billion. So you will be secure for life. And all you have to do is put your kids for open school. Now, will they do it? I don't know, but I don't think necessarily they will do it. On the other hand, someone like Dviji, Ratnesh, or we all of us, they will do it without having an assurance of a financial security. So how about that? Like, is it only a financial aspect, or is it also social aspects? Like, maybe take it in a different way. Like, there are people who are earning a lot of money, but they don't really have degrees. They don't have the social status of that kind. We say vada pav wala in Mumbai. A vada pav wala in Mumbai earns a lot better than a software engineer in Mumbai. There are vada pav walas like that, and they're very popular, but they don't have the social status. So I think that is where she is going, and that is where this can come up as, like, if we really give $1 billion to them, how many people will be volunteering for open learning? I still feel not many. There would be a limited crowd.
If you allow me, I'll put another little worm in the pan, if you call it that way. Is that how about using this fear, not eliminating it, not pushing it anywhere, using it in a way to however you want to use it, either to prepare itself for the future, or use this fear to find more possibilities, or using this fear to relax yourself. Why not? Fears can relax me. Well, why not? And so on. We can explore this fear itself. Let's say this fear is there. Fair enough. It's there, right? For whatever reason, it could be financial for somebody. It could be mix of financial, social, emotional. Shadi hogi ki nahi hogi. Whatever. I keep these marriage jokes coming up all the time. So I'm just saying, whatever it is, I'm not trying to deny nor say that fear is wrong. I'm just saying, let's just use this fear. In fact, I would like to ask Peter Gray, how can we use these fears? Not how we can eliminate these fears. Whatever is our context, if fear is there, it is there, period. And there's nothing wrong or right about it. Now let's see where do we channelize its energy? Because fear has a lot of energy. Look at how it makes people run. So that means it has a lot of energy. It has potential energy, and let's use its potential, man. That's what I would look at. And the first person I will ask is my child. Okay, how can we together, or how can you use this potential, whatever, this potential of a fear, or potential of anxiety or concern, or whatever it is.
But we would like to be driven by our love, right? Not by fear. I think if I give an analogy, like a car accelerator and a brake, I think love is your accelerator and fear is like a brake. So fear has
That's
its
an
purpose.
assumption. That's an assumption, Pradeep, that fear can only be seen in a negative way, or in a way that
Not
it's
in
a
a negative
brake.
way, right? Because
You're
a brake
calling
is
it
very
brake.
essential to a car. No. But a car doesn't stop without a brake, right? So in that sense, fear as in like it's less like a regulation. It's supposed to be there, but only if it is sensible and it is reasonable. See, like suppose stupid fears are there. I mean, people do some stupid things like taking a selfie in front of something. So fear has its purpose, right? So what I'm saying is you should be afraid of certain things, but not everything. So unreasonable
Fair enough.
fear
We are
or
not
irrational.
generalizing it, Pradeep. So if you're saying that, if the fear is there, fear of future, here we have a specific fear. Okay. I'm not saying we need to drive our life by a fear. I'm saying we can use it. Just like how you are saying, taking your analogy, use the brake. So we can use the fear. Not that we don't have love or passion or interest or whatever joys that we have. I'm not trying to disregard them. I'm only saying that why does we need to only look at what to, in terms of fear as something not wanted, or rather than looking at something that can have. It is not a notion that open learners don't have fears, or school goers don't have fears, or people living in West don't have fears, or people living in East don't have fears. I mean, I'm saying there is no difference. We all have in all different ways.
I think it's more about uncertainty. I think fear is like the uncertainty, and
Yeah,
you
Pradeep,
can
but
say
if
that
you
you
think
have
about
some
nature,
before you take a
Pradeep, if you don't
decision, you
mind.
know a few things and you don't know a few things, right? So it's all about the unknown. So if you don't know a few things, it's the uncertainty part of it. But you can't make a decision based on what you don't know, right? You can take a decision
Yeah,
only
we
on
all
what you know.
became parents. We knew who will come.
Ratnesh, just 1 second. I mean, just
Yeah.
taking off on Peter Gray's interpretation and perspective. If you think of evolution, fear has been like a propellant for evolution. It has been the very factor which has the whole fight or flight response, right? That comes out of fear. And if you see basic biology of any species, like any living species, the fear plays a very crucial role in their survival too. So while we can think of fear as a holding back, regulating agent, it is also a propelling agent. And I think that's what Ratnesh is tapping into when he says, let's use fear. Let's not try to overcome fear, but rather let's try to channel that energy. When you're taking the flight route, let's take the flight in a direction which is more informed, rather than just running into the fire rather than away from the fire. But I just wanted to bring back, if we want to move a little further in this conversation, to one of the points that Peter Gray makes, which is that, children are inherently learners. Children learn inherently. And one of my biggest grouse with him is that even adults learn inherently. I mean, why emphasizing this on the child, right? I'm sure that when given a particular opportunity, we observe and we learn. Otherwise, we cannot live, right? I mean, I go to a new place and I see some new culture, new customs, new traditions, new rules. And within a few days, I pick up and I learn, right? So I didn't go to a culture school or a language school, or like Asavari is now probably getting a deep dive in Telugu, right? So it's that we all learn if we let ourselves learn. And so I would just like to know why he emphasizes the child part.
So Dwiji, I think this is a perfect time. I want to play a small one more video. He does, in that he does not talk about children. I think that was just the context of that talk, which was about schools and
in
all
many
of that.
contexts he does, so it's fine, but
yeah,
sure, please.
But I think he clearly indicates that it's not about children only. All of us learn, and we learn very naturally.
I think he
So
wants
just
to bring the inner child in us. So he wants us to become children. Basically.
just a quick
outer also, we're all quite childish.
Okay, so just 1-2 minute more video. Let's see that and see how that what that talks about.
What does self-directed education mean to me? It means being in charge of your own life. You know, for we human beings, living and learning are pretty much the same thing. We learn every minute that we're alive. We can't help but learn. Much of that learning is incidental. We just pick up information and skills as we go along through life. But some of it is very deliberate. You know, we get curious about something and we delve into it because we really, really want to know about that. And some of that learning comes because we recognize that to do the projects that we want to do, there are certain skills and certain information that we've got to acquire. And so we delve into it in order to do the projects that we want to do in life. That's how we live our lives. You know, at the Alliance for Self-Directed Education, we draw a distinction between self-directed education with small letters and self-directed education with capital letters. With small letters, self-directed education refers to the education that all of us have, regardless of how much schooling we had. Very little of what you and I would regard as our real education came from schooling. Most of what we know, most of the skills that we know, we acquired from the process of living outside of school, or even if it was in school, it was through the process of living within that school. With capital letters, self-directed education refers to the deliberate choice on the part of families to allow their children to avoid coercive schooling, to avoid forced schooling, and instead to learn through pursuing their own interests, through living their lives.
In some way, if I look at this, if I look at this very short, but I think a pretty interesting thought that he shares, I am connecting with Archana's question about fear, and I'm saying that, well, that is life. The life is learning. And when we or our children will be in a situation which can be called as insecure, they will learn, because insecurity will give them an opportunity to learn, or force them sometimes, or sometimes invite them with an opportunity to learn, and they will learn. And we will learn, not just they. He's not referring to children anymore. He's talking about all of us. We all, for just a very trivial kind of example, but a universal example, we all went through COVID, and we learned how to live with it in whichever ways it's affected many more seriously, some partially, some little, but any which way we all learned. We were all learners for those couple of years of whatever the pandemic. So I'm not trying to reduce the fears. I'm saying the fear and the insecurities or the problems will all become our learning engines or learning triggers today as well as tomorrow, is what I understand out of what he's saying. But yeah, we can have more thoughts and questions. And Vijay does mention all of us for a change. Yes, Archana. So when you say everyone is not equipped, so that's the whole idea. So now I can use fear to equip myself. Just like if I say I'm going on a train journey and maybe the water will not be very healthy for me, so I pack up my water. So in the same way, if I know in this life journey I will need, let's say whatever, let's say networking, let's say people skills, let's say whatever, earning skills, which be outside my passions, like I think Santosh was mentioning. So I learned those. So I can prepare myself if I need to. But the good news is that we have time to prepare.
I think we should change the topic or thinking more towards love and less towards fear, because fear, I agree with completely facing the fears and learning from fears and transforming fear into something. And so all the dark side or the darkness, you can utilize that and gain from it as well. It's like a Buddhist or Gautam Buddha, somebody said, like, there is mud around a lotus or something, and it uses that to grow. So it's how you transform that and gain out of fear and face the fear and grow from it. But also, I would like to be driven by love. It's finding what you would want. And I see the word passion also thrown around a lot, but it's also about leveraging what you already have in life and converting that into your passion or your business entrepreneurship, because there is Cal Newport who writes a lot about leveraging what you're already having and then inverting passion, basically seeing what you can offer to the world instead of what the world can offer you, which is what passion is about. Passion is about what I can consume from the world. But it's inverting the thinking and saying, what can I do for the world and how can I serve the people?
Okay, so more thoughts on this whole thing about passion. Yeah, let's talk about passion.
Actually, just one question, Ratnesh, regarding self-directed learning itself.
Sure.
So, okay, now let's say self-directed learning. Like there are three different words in here. If I were to go back to what Peter Gray or even Dviji was pointing out, in terms of an evolutionary approach or a biological thing, then self can be something very natural, and learning also can be something very natural. But this in between, the directed, is it natural? Because I think like, when we say open learning, then perhaps it should be undirected, because when we say a direction, then there is a kind of intervention.
No, the self is directing. So how is that an intervention? The self is directing.
Yeah. Wait, Ratnesh. I mean, you're right. There is an intervention, a conscious intervention by the individual themselves.
Okay, that way, yes.
Right? I mean, any movement, I mean, time progresses. So there is a definite thing that there is movement. And we cope with that. Right? And if I'm not consciously doing it, then I'm letting my circumstances drive my learning. I'm still learning. I may not go to school, but I'm still learning because I have to survive. I will cope with my changing circumstances. Today there's an earthquake. I hope there isn't, but let's say there's an earthquake, right? I haven't gone to school to learn how to deal with the earthquake, but I will learn because I want to survive. I don't want to be stuck in the rubble, right? I'll try to claw my way out. I'll make some noise. I'll whatever, right? So when I consciously make some effort to do some things, and that's why when in the community, when we are talking of self-directed learning, we talk about planning, doing, and reflecting, right? It's not just about planning or not just about doing, but or just about reflecting. It's about doing these three and doing it in a way where we are picking up from what we do. So in some sense, I agree with you. Direction is something that is imposed, whether by self, like Ratnesh is saying, and many of us say, not just Ratnesh, or by my parents, or by my spouse, or by my child, or by my teachers, my mentors, my guides, my society, my religion, my race, right? So there
Or the circumstances.
or circumstances, yeah. So yeah, I don't know if that adds
Yeah, definitely. Let me kind of think a little more over it, and but I guess somewhere like I'm kind of stuck on the directed part. I mean, I understand it's directed by self, so in a way it's an open learning in a way, because it's getting driven by the, let's say, curiosity of the self in there. Perhaps like that's how it is, and it's just that somewhere when the word directed comes in, my mind goes in an angle of intervention, and then as you rightly said, Viji, intervention by somebody external. So why not just let it flow? Yeah.
So just another thing that I don't think self-directed is purely out of curiosity. It could be out of social pressure, it could be out of compulsion, it could be out of many factors. It is just that I am responding to my pressures, to various things, and I feel this might give me some peace of mind, this might make me happy, this might please my girlfriend, right? So I learn because I'm dealing with it because I see some way out of my current situation. I see some way in which I can improve myself. So I don't think it's always out of curiosity. I mean, I just want to
makes sense.
disabuse people that there is nothing romantic about open learning or self-directed learning. Self-directed learning is as complicated as life is.
Now this,
there is fear, there is love, there is
correct. This adds like for example, now you clarified, because somewhere I was sort of stuck on an idea that it has to be with curiosity, but it is definitely not necessary with the curiosity. And I think like then we can connect back to what Ratnesh was saying, the fears, because they are the part of the self, they can be used for the learning in going in there. So there are a lot of things associated in there.
I don't know if Ratnesh, that's what you had in mind, but Sujay and I have interpreted your words to mean that.
All I can do is interpret. That's my job, and his job is to convey what.
So Sujay, just to add my little bit, I also don't like the word directed so much, but I like the word director, which is what I posted in WhatsApp group also. Whenever somebody talks about self-directed learning, I imagine myself as the director of this movie called Me and My Life. Now I'm the director, right? I have to still I can take in inputs from anybody, everybody, but I'm still the director of my life. And I have to decide who is going to play what. Do I want to do the stunt myself, or do I want to get a duplicate to do the stunt? So we can go on, we can look at, but we are the directors of our life that way. Then I'm looked at as an individual, not like it will not have influences and inputs and you can say value adds from others. It will definitely have, but I'm still the director of my movie.
Got it.
I had a question. So, as I shared, my son, he just left school. Because of the anxiety, and now he's still in the phase of coming out of the entire process. So, and I want him to go towards being a self-directed learner. Since I'm new, I just want to know what's the role of the parents. What kind of environment should we give to our child so that he moves towards that direction? How should we, be with them?
Well, we can have many meetups just on this question of what is the role of a parent. We have had many, and we can continue to have many, because there are possibly a million roles that you will have to play, which you would, I think, already playing. Just that now you play in a slightly changed situation, but otherwise you still will have all the roles as much as he will play all the roles in your life. So it's a mutual thing. But the word in, at least in, so we can, that's an interesting question, and we can ask this question to Peter also as to what is the role of a parent, apart from what not to do to what to do, both the things. Right, and how so that he has spoken about it in multiple interviews, but we can go a little more deeper into it and try and understand different elements of this. But if you ask us in general, we say that the simplest word which can encompass a lot of role is co-creator or co-passenger. Right? We that could be a single word way to look at your role, that okay, I am a co-passenger, co-creation with the child. So not that I am, so, and when we say co-creation, remember, as much as I can co-create his life, he can co-create my life. I mean, he's anyway created my life as a parent, right? And changed everything in my home, my world. So this dynamics of co-creation is both ways. And if we can approach it that way, then it becomes very interesting. So when you say, what should be the environment? I would say, together sit down and create whatever environment you want to create. Just like when you got married, and I'm speaking like that because my daughter just got married. Oh, okay, what kind of curtains? So, okay, both of you sit down, husband, wife, and think what kind of curtains you want. Right? It's the same way. Right? What environment you want? Well, it's up to you and your child. None of us can tell you what environment it can be, because it's you both who are traveling this life together. As in, I'm saying you both, as in the whole family. Is traveling this journey together. And so you create the environment, and it will change every single, let's say, day, moment, whatever. It will keep evolving, this environment. It's not one idealistic environment, because we are also constantly changing. So yeah, co-creation is a better yeah. Santosh, so yeah, I agree with you. The reason people have used the term self-directed is because it's too much of other directed. I think to pull people away from that, they have used that term. Though I also like co-creation better, yes.
Most of the time, when I see my daughter, right, what I see is she wants to enjoy all the time, like watch something on iPad or eat her favorite food. But it's important, what I feel is teaching them financial education or what it takes to get that food. They won't know, usually typical young kid wouldn't know that what's the concept of money, and they only have desires and wants, but they don't know what it takes to get that. It's equating that to artha and kama. Everybody who has desires, but they don't have the means or the artha to get that. So passion only talks about what you want, which is all good. Like a kid can want watching movies or candy and playing all the time, but that is all the karma part of it, the desire part of it. But how do you get those desires? Everybody wants good cars, good buildings, but it takes something to get that, right? That is the artha part of it. So financial education or what it takes to get what you want is from a young age. If a kid is taught, that's what I'm always thinking of. As kids, we all want to play and have fun and all that, but
So
it's all
Pradeep,
good.
that is the interesting part. So good that you brought this example. Maybe you are in a way answering Nivedita's question by saying, okay, so I can put forward what I would like the child to learn, and the child can put forward what he or she would like me to learn. Are we in a fair deal? Right? So I can say, for example, Pradeep may say, let's do this, whatever, I mean, the point that he was trying to make, that, okay, the financial part of it or how to do it part. Okay. So till it's not like that the child, so that's part of the co-creation rather than the self-directing. Child can only and only do what he likes to do, but because he's part of my journey, I also have a say in his journey or her journey, and he or she also have a say in my journey. And I think if till we are ready to be like kind of play the co-passenger kind of a thing, then we are good. If we say no, only my points will go in and your points will not go in, then it's no more a co-creation. Then it's become parent directed, which is nothing
No, she
wrong with if
understands like
somebody chooses.
ordering things from Amazon, and she's like, you want to, let's order a house, let's buy a house. She thinks like it's a small thing to buy, right? Because they don't know what it takes to, it's like one more item for them. So
Sure.
like
So you have your curriculum ready, Pradeep. Good luck with that. But different parents and different families could have different agendas, and that's the whole idea, right? Whatever is each one's thinking, that gets so in another video, Peter Gray does talk about what he calls as the cultural context or the cultural tools, and I think that's important because each family will have its own cultural tools and cultural context, like how you are talking about, Pradeep, or somebody else could be talking about something else as more important, and that becomes the context of learning, both for the child and as well as for us. And that is why we say that, whichever group you are in, you will have to, their cultures and their needs and wants will indirectly and sometimes very directly affect our learning. So in that sense, yes, it is self-directed, but it is constantly being influenced by everybody in your cultural context, whoever is there.
now, in the most of the art schooling, when I went through school, I was never taught about money anywhere, like the concept of saving or what is wealth.
Yeah,
So,
Pradeep, pause. So we are again going on to one topic and the importance of it. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Whatever is your topic of importance, please discuss it with your child in that sense, right? There is no one, you cannot say all of us should do it with our children, but you can share, this is what I am talking about, which could be great for others. And in the same way, I cannot say this is what I am doing, so everybody should do that. That's the whole idea of open learning. I think, to me, it leads to a very beautiful way of living as a family. It changes the whole dynamics of a family, because suddenly the family is not about parenting, but it's all about the co-creation that we have been talking about. So that it changes that dynamics, whatever be the agendas. It could be finance today, it could be something else tomorrow. Yeah, so more thoughts and questions. We still have about 15 minutes. Some people also had some questions about Aarohi, so it's not like we have to only talk about self-directed learning and Peter Gray. Obviously, we will talk more about him. And I'm also just reinforcing, we'll still be forming the questions that we would like to take up with Peter Gray. So please do send in your questions. You can either DM or put it in the WhatsApp group if you're part of the WhatsApp group, or you can send it to us directly. But yeah, let's, somebody had some question at the beginning about Aarohi also. Yeah, somebody was, interested to know about Aarohi X. I think Farha. Yeah. But anyway, please come with your specific question, either about open learning, self-directed learning, Aarohi, anything. Yeah, it's still open. We have 15 more minutes. Or if you want to bring about a point related to what Peter Gray was talking about, most welcome. Yeah.
So I watched some videos of Peter Gray, and there's one other link. I've just shared it in the chat, where he talks specifically about what is self-directed learning. And I thought it would be in the list today. I'm surprised you guys didn't pick it up. So I would encourage, I'll post this on the WhatsApp group as well.
Yeah.
I would encourage everyone to give it a listen. And it's quite interesting. And it also more specifically addresses the education side of things. I mean, the learning and the self-directed part. Other than that, I think
we had thought, Dwiji, in fact, that's lined up as a video to share depending on the time and discussion. We thought we will. The debate was, do we want a graphic one or do we want a more soft his talking about the self-directed as an overall concept? And in some ways, you made me, not you made me, but your thought made me may play that video instead of this. But yes, it's a good video to look at, and it's a short video, just about 3-4 minutes long video.
Yeah. So
I think Pranav had already shared it with the group, I think. Anyways, please do share it again.
Yeah. I'll share my thoughts there as well. So, that's looking at this video, one thing that I felt is that when we think of systems and when we think of organized, clear definitions, we somehow feel that self-directed learning is very fuzzy-wuzzy, right? That there isn't as clear a defined system, and that, it's very uncertain. And as we have already addressed the uncertainty part, I just wanted to address this part about the fuzzy-wuzziness of the whole thing. And this actually goes to one of the things that we often come to, and Ratnesh, I think you were alluding to this, that not every child wants a clear-cut system defined by someone else. And when we say self-directed learning, we are essentially asking the child to structure their learning, right? So it goes back to that core question, which I know we didn't come to in this small, which is, do I have confidence in myself, and do I have confidence in my child and their ability to do things right for themselves, right? And it all goes back to that particular aspect. And I feel that Peter Gray, in this short 4-minute video, he doesn't really talk about this particular aspect, but he kind of comes to that doorstep and leaves it there. So I'm just curious to know why he didn't go the next step and say, they are defining that structure. It is a structure. Like, let's not discount it as
he does that in another video.
Share that link, please.
Sure, I'll do that. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I had a similar thought. Thank you, Dwiji, for putting it so clearly, because it was very blotched in my head. Because somewhere we are, as families, we are okay with younger children in that exploration phase. We are very happy with this whole self-directed, and but when it still comes to their professional life, or how will they settle down, we still are more aligned and comfortable maybe with a system. So somewhere I'm thinking, does it require, as you said, confidence or a radical level of acceptance that they will design their future? I mean, in the way they want. It may not align with how I'm thinking at this moment. But yeah, maybe I would like to ask him, like, why is that aspect not, why is it seen as so fuzzy, as he said, and so uncertain? And how can we bridge that gap as open learning community?
Yeah, that's in fact, Kirtika, in some ways we have been talking about these aspects over many these meetups, because invariably it pops up, like Archana is popping it up today for us, and you are popping it up. Yeah, these keep coming up, And yeah, we will, let's definitely, maybe we can start off with that, because that seems to be the important thing for many of us. So let's start off with that, how do we bring in that? So that, and I was raising the same thing, that one is that, yes, one is the showcasing examples, but what else is it about it that we can understand to help us with that? Yes. So because he in his previous video was showcasing so many examples, including his brothers. So yeah. So let's more dive into this aspect. Yes. And bring in both the aspect of love and passion that Pradeep wanted to bring in, as well as the aspect of anxiety of the parent. So love and passion is of the child, and maybe anxiety and concerns or the fuzziness is more for the for the parent. Maybe the children don't have that fuzziness, but interestingly, many children also develop that fuzziness more because of the messages that this society or the peers or anybody, even a stranger in the train meets and says, "What are you up to?" kind of start grilling the child. So yes, anybody can give that fuzziness to a child who is otherwise clear.
So Ratnesh, I just wanted to ask, so how did you deal with the social stigma associated with the unschooling for your own children? If we embark this unschooling journey, your neighbors, relatives are bound to, question you, like, what are you doing with your children? So how did you handle all this? That with both your children, right? So I'm just curious.
That's why we quickly made a community. Now nobody bothers. Within the first year of having jokes apart, it helps. It helps to be part of a larger group, to have, the Pradeeps and the Kirtikas and the Niveditas and the Navyas around you. So that, yes, when you are questioned, you feel it's just a question, like as if somebody comes and says, "Hey, how come you eat so much of, sugary stuff?" Let's say. Anybody can question anything in my life, right? So if I have lots of people eating around me, I can be a little more rest assured. So that's the whole idea. The whole idea is to have more, just at a little joke level, but it's also at a very significant level, to have this community. What Kirtika was talking about, I know she didn't talk about the even for the youth, the idea of having more such youths with me. The moment we had a group, some of you would have attended an LSUC, that's a learning unconference that happens every year. And when you go to so there are thousands of people there, 4,000-5,000 people, adults, children. The children just kind of make a gang together and they have a ball of a time, those 3 days or 4 days of that learning unconference. So that just to me is an example of how all they also need is a commune of their own, right? Where they are saying that, okay, I'm not alone doing this. There are others like me. Then there is no problem, right? Even as a parent, okay, I'm also not alone and there are other people around me. So I think the community does give a lot of reassurance and a lot of inputs and value adds and support and help and blah, 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 which is why we are a community. But that's not the only thing. We'll talk about more. We'll talk with Peter also. Yeah, I think Peter Gray will also give an example of Salisbury in that sense.
Just stepping in here, like yesterday I binged watched, as they say on Ratnesh and Aditi's interview with some Facebook group, and folks who are here maybe go through it. They've shared in detail of their different phases, so I kind of binge watched it at one go. Yeah.
By the way, the video is added to the same playlist, which has the videos of all these meetups. So I'll post the link. It must be the latest video in that list. So yeah, if you want to, it's just a talk about our journey. So if that makes sense to you. Yeah, Pradeep.
But how is it that both you and Aditi were like on the same page when you wanted to unschool your children? Or was it, one of you had to, what to say, give gyan to the other spouse saying, no, this is the way. I don't know. Now I'm in that phase because I have to really convince my husband that, just because everybody is eating white rice, everyone feels it's a healthy thing. But we as a family have chosen a different kind of a diet. So this was the example I had to give my husband. He's like, tomorrow your children should not blame you that why didn't you send me to a regular school
And white
and
rice. Why didn't you feed us white rice?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Thankfully, when I ask my children, do you like white rice or the millet? They say it's millet. So I'm happy. So I had to tell my husband, see, we as a family have chosen this, so we can choose this as well. But he's not very convinced. So I don't know how to give this gyan to my husband because we both as parents have to be on the same page, right?
No.
But he's very.
No, wait. I want to say, you said right at the end of that statement. I'm saying not right. I'm saying there is no such need. Okay. Enjoy the this whole thing about two people thinking in different ways. That's energy. If two people think exactly the same, that's boring and that's no newness in it. Two people little thinking, there'll be lots of sparks, there'll be lots of fires, and that's good. That's good for us. So there is, me, Pranav, the regulars keep telling every parent, please don't try to convince your spouse, your grandparents, your uncles and aunts, your neighbors, nobody. There is no need to convince anybody. When they come and say, what have you done? Listen to them, interact with them, look at them as gifts that are coming to you because they are concerned about you and your child. Isn't that great news? Start asking them, demanding them, okay, you know this, okay, do this for my child, or whatever. No, that's just a joke. The more important part is that I don't think it's about convincing anybody. It's about with our thinkings in different directions, finding out how we want to do today, keeping tomorrow open as an option. Right. So let's see how things evolve. It could evolve in any which way. And if I let it just then flow with all the co-passengers in the journey, then however it evolves, I will enjoy. If I'm always thinking, no, I have the right one, and others have to be convinced, then I'll always be stretched. And that's not a good feeling. Open learning doesn't mean I need to now make my life terrible. And same way with white and red rice and whatever, brown rice, right? So if, for example, even in Aarohi, we have all kinds of rices for anybody to eat depending on what one they want to eat, right? Brown rice, red rice, millets, white rice, and everybody chooses, right? So it's not about trying to force or convince somebody that this is a better choice. It's about realizing that there are choices. Some people don't even know that there's anything other than white rice. Actually, we have put that on the table itself is, I would say, a great start, and let's just enjoy that. At least I enjoy my brown rice or red rice, and I don't bother whether the other person is eating it. I think the analogy is very interesting, Navya, that you brought that up.
But I think a very valid question. Even my wife is against open learning. I have to convince her.
It's all about choices at the end of the day. Yeah, I think it's about choices at the end of the day. Fathers are not aware. I mean, we can't help it, right? At least we have become aware that, there is some other option like this. So let's explore. Let's not just take the path that everybody is doing.
Yeah, or let's put
like
it this way. I will rephrase it that way. I want to explore something else. You are wanting to be with me fully, partially, not at all is all right. All those stages are all right. So then it's much easier on myself. Then I'm not trying to do anything. Right? Let's say your spouse be self-directed as much as you want to be self-directed. But have conversations, have discussions with neighbors, have arguments, have debates, have all of those. Just like that's what I'm saying. Have the millet on the table. But the idea is not to fight for it. The idea is to enjoy it being on to the table, enjoy cooking it. So in the same way, enjoy your thoughts about open learning or whatever your thoughts are, whatever term you want to give it, as much as his thought about however he wants to see the world. And your children will soon have their thoughts. And so if you have 4 members in your family, If 4 of them differently thinking, that's great. That's awesome. You're in a great passenger car where there are 4 different. So the idea is, at least according to us, the idea is to enjoy the whole togetherness of different views.
Okay. Thanks, Ratnesh. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, we've almost kind of run out of time. I'll just quickly paste the the playlist link, just in case any one of you want to look that up for not just the recording, but in general any recording of the previous meetups. So I'm pasting that link. And yeah, if you want to send us some questions which you would like us to ask, so it would be an interview format. So we would have the questions prepared and we'll ask those questions. So it's important that everybody sends in the question in advance. We will try to have an kind of Q&A session, but even there you will have to type it, because we won't, depending on the numbers, we'll see. If it's a small number, we'll open it to voice, but we may be constrained that way. It really depends on the numbers. But best would be if you can send it to us in advance, because he has specifically requested that it be in an interview format where there is an interviewer or few interviewers who are interviewing him. So that's been his request. So we will go, tarry along with the way he wants to do it. So that's why again requesting, if you have questions to ask him, please send it to us. Do watch his videos so that we can actually go much deeper into self-directed learning. But great discussion today, and thank you everybody. And yep, see you next Saturday. That is 12th. Yeah, bye-bye. The link will remain the same. Everything else remains the same. The time also. Yeah.